ended up in my office after 30 years of trying to lose weight, and they lose the weight, but they gain it back. The recidivism rate in our culture for all those weight loss programs, from Jenny Craig to Nutrisystem to Oprah, is over 90%. How do you stay in business and you fail 90% of the time? By setting up repetition compulsion, by setting up addiction in people. And there are clinical aspects to it and mental, emotional, but I asked her, was she willing to listen and look at her body, her symptom, her fat? Why do you want to lose weight? Because I'm fat and ugly and I hate myself. Oh, okay, I'll help you. Now, just to bring some mindfulness and Buddhism into the discussion, the first two steps of the path of the Buddha, of the Eightfold Path, the first is right understanding. How'd you come to be this way? Who are you? What's going on? What does it mean of what's happening in your body? Not just take it away and you're going to love yourself. You've lost the weight 20 times. You didn't love yourself. Weight's not your issue. I'm not going to engage in that. It's not an easy addiction to break. People have to hit a certain bottom. You know, and the day came when the risk of remaining closed became more painful than the risk to open. We hang out with people at that place when they hit bottom, which is step one in the 12-step process, right? They hit bottom, they hit that darkness. And then the healing happens. Okay. So we asked her in an imagery exercise to listen to her body, to communicate with it. Let's talk to your fat. Let's find out what image it has. Let's talk your inner wisdom. Why is it here? Okay. When we go through our stuff, whatever happened to us, we do it for protection. This is, Carolyn May's book of why people don't heal. Because our illness is serving us. From the little kid who gets sick because he doesn't want to go to school, to the woman who carries an extra 100 pounds on her body because she's scared to show herself. When we did the imagery exercises, she got the image of a down comforter. This part of her being that she's been hating and trying to get rid of her whole life, she changed her consciousness towards it. When she saw internally, not me telling her, only her own words, her own experience guiding her in that process, that her weight was her friend. It was protecting her. It was serving her. And every time she got rid of it and took it off, she was naked again. So it became obvious, well, I can't take it off until I find another way to not need to protect myself, which is called healing. And then we don't need to protect ourselves anymore. Then we live and we're free. But we got to be willing to choose to take responsibility and make the choice to take that path. It's kind of like, Passover was just ending. It's kind of like, do I want to stay a slave or do I want to go for freedom? It's not, you don't jump from that to freedom. You wander in a desert a while. Speaking as a doctor who's guided many people through their deserts, no one said they wanted to go back to slavery. The heroin addict who stops the needle, that is painful. The alcoholic, when they hit bottom and they stop drinking, that's painful, but they don't. However much more painful that is to finally face the pain of their alcohol and the pain of what was causing it and healing that, it's a healing pain. It's the hope of moving in a direction towards wholeness and to healing. So the second definition that goes with the am I willing to listen question, I want to back for a second. The first definition that I didn't give you is by Larry Dossey. Healing is not a matter of setting the molecules straight. It's a matter of helping the one in need of healing into an experience of wholeness. My mother passed away recently. My sister and I try to reproduce her chicken soup. We can't do it. She knew how to put those things together and put the salt in the soup just at the right time. I see patients from Fairfield County. They have the best doctors and the best experts and the best everybody in the world putting healing stuff into their soup. They're in my office. I can't hold a candle to the people that they're seeing in terms of their wisdom and brilliance. So what am I adding to their soup? Their consciousness, their salt, themselves, their soul. They're the only ones who can stir it and make it work. But what they do, what we don't understand that, or at least from my standpoint, we go to this person to cure us, and then we go to that person to cure us, and that doesn't work, we go to that person. And it's not that what they did to cure us wasn't the right thing, it was only part of what we needed in the soup. When my mother's chicken soup didn't taste right, she didn't throw the chicken out. She just put more salt in. So we need all of the ingredients in our soup, but no one, we're in it together. No one therapist, doctor, healer, treatment is the answer. Linnea can appreciate this. Paths are many, truth is one. I have made up a little thing, kind of corollary. Therapies are many, healing is one. When healing happens, we're all doing the same thing, touching people at the core of their being to places that we buried away that need to be touched with love and compassion and embraced, and in Marino's word, remembered, brought back into the wholeness of our being. When I mentioned the heroin addiction context, people may not know, it's in Stephen Levine's book. Stephen Levine was one of my teachers, a meditation teacher, great book on Buddhist meditation, gradual awakening, healing meditations. He talks about when he stopped his heroin addiction. And he's driving in New York City traffic to his next connection. He says, the truth of my pain could no longer be eluded. I pulled over to the side of the road and let myself be sick. The heart informed the mind in no uncertain terms. It wanted God more. We have to want life and healing more than whatever we're stuck in. And when the pain is there, and I saw it all week, and there are people around who will let us be in it and let us feel it, that's the healing. Tell our story and feel it and release it, whether it's with music or dance or psychodrama or touch or awareness or prayer. Doesn't really matter. It's touching the core of our being with God's energy, with love's energy, with a consciousness that says it's okay. And it's not a fixing energy, because we're whole. We have that place inside. Pema Chodron speaks of this jewel that no matter what happens, no matter how buried it gets, no matter how twisted we become, there's a place in us that's never been touched, that's completely whole. And that's what we're trying to get home to. Diane Connolly is an acupuncturist, a great title of a book. All sickness is homesickness. And for me, that's where I get all healing is self-healing. The journey home to your true self. When I see people in pain, okay, here's your herb, your vitamin, your diet, your medicine, your drug, your doctor. That takes about 2 visits. Okay, where's your healing? Where's the place of the meaning and the message of this? Illness and symptoms have a message, and discovering their meaning is the key to unlock the door for healing. I've seen it, again, my entire career. But we're so busy running away from our pain, getting rid of it, trying to fix it, that we never just get. And this is the first noble truth of Buddhism. Truth of suffering. Truth of pain and suffering. But there's a freedom that can come. Not by avoiding it, not by running from it, but by going into it, by opening to it, by embracing it, by remembering it. Third case to share with you. Oh, I didn't give you the Stephen Levine. He said, if there's a single definition of healing, it's to touch with mercy and awareness those pains from which we have withdrawn in judgment and dismay. So after learning imagery and after asking these questions and after listening, stuff came up. And I had to try to understand how to process it. At first, and to go back to the woman who was overweight, she had been sexually abused as a child, and I referred her to a therapist in the area who specializes in that as I continued to work with her and integrate it in her soup as the kind of midwife of that. I think all of us in healing are midwives, or where a movie that I like is The Horse Whisperer, where Robert Redford is sitting there in the field and this working with the young girl, and this horse who's been horribly traumatized is scared and terrorized and frightened, but he's allowed to roam free, knowing that whenever he's ready, Robert Redford will be there to just let him be. And the whole movie is just, he comes closer and closer and closer and closer. You know. And then we also have this like little kitten that's like up on the shelf, sticking its head out. It's just scared. And you know, I want to share with you a story of now speaking a little bit more about mindfulness and healing. that I had to learn, how do I help people be with their pain? I learned how to